The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, I'd like to welcome everybody back to another KevCAM night class tonight. Do see some new names in here, so I'll just go through the quick housekeeping. Everybody, we are running in GoToWebinar, and this does put everyone in mute just to eliminate any background noise. If you guys do have questions, there is a questions panel for you, and definitely suggest that you guys ask if you do have questions. And tonight, to help out with questions that come in, I have Tim Carl, one of our account managers. Tim, you were there?
I'm here. Welcome, everybody.
And as well as Greg Payton to save my butt and make sure I'm covering everything for you guys, making sure you're knowing everything.
Good evening, everybody.
Okay, so with that being said, oh, I did forget to mention for the new people that are in here, all these night classes are recorded. So if you would like to see a previous night class, you guys can go over to the SolidCAM University and check it out there. So you can see the night classes that are here, as well as the classes that Mark does a great job with SolidCAM Live, as well as all the different kinds of training videos in here as well. All right, so with that being said, we will get the ball rolling tonight. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter class tonight, but it is a basic wrap up of SolidCAM 2020 of what's new. And this is just kind of some general stuff that they've done inside the software that, you know, wouldn't require a full night class on. So just broke it up into a general section for you guys.
Yeah, kind of all the stuff that didn't fit into the previous night class categories.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so Ronnie is here, so now we can definitely start the class now. Sorry, Josh, I can't pick on you at the night class. Okay, so first things first, the one thing that they added in here, and it's a little up in the air on how it's going to help you guys out, but they have added a button inside the setup to set the absolute values on the machine, as well as, or I'm sorry, for the part as well as the fixture. So before, what you would have to do is go to your table, and let's go ahead and pull up our machine preview here and get zoomed in here. So before, we would have to either change our values for our fixture or for our part right here. Well, now what you guys can do is come and set the absolute value, and you can toggle back and forth much easier to set up your levels. So this is new to 2020, and you can come in here and pick them. You can set them the same. And as I move this around, I'm just using my center mouse wheel. I can bring up my part. But for this particular one, I want to move up my fixture. And we can come in here and bump this guy up. And my fixture is missing. So let's turn on our fixture so you guys can see it. And let's try that again. Absolute. And now we can see our fixture rising up from our platter here. Now, if we needed to, you guys can make the changes to the part position as well, but just a quick little feature in there, just because setups are getting to be so big with the newer versions that are coming out, especially with the, you know, the 5-axis and the advanced mill turn machines that are coming out there. So that is the first thing I wanted to show you guys.
Now with that, Kevin, you want to show them how, when you're using that mode, it'll update the other fixture items as well. So you can see right there.
Yep. You can see that it's automatically updated the machine dialog right here. So yeah, great point, Greg. So you guys do have that option now. Okay, moving on to our next one here is going to be, we kind of covered this a little bit with the 2.5D stuff, but they did clean up the drag and drop templates over on our right hand side here. So if I open this up now, you'll see that they have listed as icons now, instead of having a whole list of drag and drop operations here. And I can show you what it used to look like, is just like this. So here's the earlier version if you're running 2019 or older. Kind of a little bit of a pain to go through there and trying to figure out what is what and decipher that, where now everything is in a simplified setup over on the right hand side. So we have our operations template, we have our process template, our whole wizard process, as well as our manager templates. Now along that same lines, they have also come through and categorized everything for you. So let me just kind of show you, if you were running SolidCAM 2019, you would see all of your operations set up by alphabetical order over here. Now, what they have done is categorized it based off of profile, drilling, face mill, and let's say for this particular part here, I'm looking to do a pocket. So, and I'm looking for my pocket process template or operation template. So now I can just hit the arrow out here, and it categorizes everything almost like into a filter right here into what I'm looking for. So if I'm looking for a face mill process or operation template, I can just hit the arrow out and I could see all my face mill operations right there. As well as you can come up here now and type in whatever you're looking for. Maybe you know the name specifically of each one. You could type that in and it would filter it out to make it a little bit easier for you guys to see. Any questions with that at all? Can't see the questions. Let me drag this over here for you.
Nothing yet.
No questions.
Okay. Yeah. There we go. Okay. So moving on, they have also changed up the settings a little bit. So if I go ahead and open up my settings, they have added a quick option to save out. So before, this SolidCAM or save SolidCAM settings would not show up. You would have to come in here and click the save and then browse to where you would like to go. So now this makes it easy for saving out settings as well as importing in your settings. At least for a lot of us on the tech support, we will constantly be changing up our settings based off of where the customer's file is or based off of what version they are using. So now what we can do is come in here, grab through our list of recents right here, and then we can load up that file instead of having to click the load and then go ahead and navigate through all the different areas of where that is. So like I said, what I'm showing you guys tonight isn't like, you know, wow, blow me out of the chair. It's just things that have really simplified it for you to make the user experience a little bit easier and faster for everyone. So, like I said, it will store up to 5 different locations in here. So if you guys are saving at 5 completely different locations, anything above 5, then you would have to browse to that location there. Okay. Now, another new one in here is our SolidCAM temporary directory. So with the temporary directory, I'm sure all of you have run across at one point in time where you go to change out a change model reference and it fails, or trying to open up a part and do a save as and make a copy. Anything to do with the CAM part file. And I'm going to show you my temporary directory here. And don't laugh, it's kind of long, but let's bring it over here. The users on app data, local. Okay, so here is my CAM part, my temporary CAM part file. Now, with this CAM part temporary file, technically, if we have a part open, or actually if we have no parts open, this should be completely empty at all times. or I shouldn't say all times, if I don't have a CAM project currently open. And what happens with all these parts in here is I got in a rush, shut down the computer, or I didn't close out of my part correctly. Something happened every time I was doing one of these parts, and it got dumped into the SolidCAM temporary file. Now, kind of along with that SolidCAM temporary files, does everyone well, let me just let's say this a different way. Does anyone not understand how the CAM part temporary directory works?
Kevin, there is a quick question about saving settings for a fixture.
Settings for a fixture. Are you talking like for your for the setups? Are we looking at
the levels?
Okay, so for the levels, each time you start a new CAM project, it would default to 0. There's no way to make that as a template. I guess I don't see why we couldn't. But as of right now, currently, there's no way to save out those settings. So every time you bring a setup in there, those would be set up as a default. So, but that's a great suggestion or point there. I'll definitely add that in there for you, or I'll put that in as a feature request so you guys can see, or so that could be added in there. Because like I said, I don't see, we have everything else with the ability to do a template or a process template. There should be no reason why we can't do it for our setup as well. So, yep, definitely add that. Okay, with the CAM, the temporary folder, everyone have a good understanding of that? Okay, so I got a couple people that don't quite understand that, and I'll go a little bit into detail of how the temporary file works. So when you guys are running in compress mode, which is SolidCAM PRZ, basically the compress mode is set up if you are working, it was mostly designed if you were working on a server. So what will happen is all the work that I am continually doing through our project is actually being saved onto this temporary folder right here, which is, like I said, very full. Now, when I go to close out of this part properly, what it will do is it will zip up everything that is in here. And what I mean by everything is you'll see that we have a PRT file along with our file structure right here. And inside our file structure, if I just open up one of these, is where all my geometries are being saved, toolpath, stock, target, assembly files are all being saved in here. So when I go to close out of this project, what it will do is it takes that PRT file along with this folder and zips it all up into one folder, and it saves it to the specific location that you specified when you first started that CAM project. Like I said, this was really designed for if you guys are saving out on the network, and this way it will eliminate any server lag speed that you're getting, so you're not having those long wait times to save and calculate when you're saving it to a destination file. So that is how it works, and I'll show you it in action here. So what we can do here is, let me close out this part. And what you guys would have had done in the past is come in here, and usually what I would have done is do a new folder, and we'll just say old temp files. Taking its sweet little time for that last 1%. Okay, so now I do have one folder still in there. Let's toss that. And it says it's open in Word. Oh, my setup sheet from, okay, try again. Okay, so now I have nothing in my temporary folder directory. So now if I go ahead and open up my SolidCAM part, open up my temporary directory, we will see that I have my chapter 2 folder along with my PRT file, and inside that chapter 2 is all my geometries, like I said, design model, fixtures, everything that was being used in there. So now if I go ahead and let me hop back to right here, I'll just drag this over for a second. Now if I close out of this properly, I'll slide this back over here, you'll actually see those files disappear out of there. So like I said, what it does is it will come in there and it will grab that folder along with that PRT file and zip it up into a folder. Well, as you guys can see in my old temporary folder, I had a lot in there. Now, what they've done is in your settings, you have the option to turn on the utility for the temporary directory to clean it up. So if we go down to the very bottom under miscellaneous, click on the settings 2 tab, there is now the option to do temporary directory cleanup. So by turning this on, if I go ahead and open up a part file that has a, if I go here, so I can see that I am saving this under my D drive, but what it will do is it will also look in that temporary directory and see if there's one there. Now, if there is an additional one there, we get this option now. So basically what it's saying is we found a previous CAM part that were not closed properly. The PRZ files have not been zipped up and updated automatically. CAM part suggest action. So what you can do at this point is open up the folder button, and then you can open up each CAM part and close it down properly, or you can just select the ones that maybe you know that it's good, and it will automatically, or you can set it to delete all or delete it to per can't talk tonight, per operate or per CAM part file. Now, if you wanted to, just to make sure that no matter what I do not want to lose any of my work, and kind of like what I did and created that that old temporary folder, we have that option right here. So you can hit the checkbox for the backup, and you can set the backup to a different directory. So no matter what, you will never lose any work, as well as everything's all backed up for you. So does that kind of make sense with the CAM part directory? Or does that sound right, Greg?
It does sound right, but I think I'm a lot closer to the situation than a lot of the people watching this video. So I will defer to whether or not people have any questions about that explanation.
So maybe to make it a little more clear here, let's do this. So right now, it's telling that there's nothing in there. So we can just hit cancel. Nope, maybe. Well, come on. Got too click happy for you. It's always great when doing live and something messes up for you. All right, let me just close this.
Yeah, it's because you went in there with a couple gigabytes of information in your temporary folder.
All right, let me kill my SolidWorks here. Boy, I can't do anything right now. Close. Task Manager. SolidWorks and task.
And this is a pretty good PSA for why you should clean out that temporary directory
Yes.
from time to time.
Definitely. As well as freeing up space on your hard disk.
Well, there's that. And then you'll have to tell me when it came out, but was it 2019 or was it 2020 when we started automatically closing out the SolidCAM CAM projects on the close of SolidWorks? Because I know there was a time where you'd have to close out a SolidCAM prior to closing out your SolidWorks project, otherwise things would get stuck in the temporary directory. But now in these newer versions of SolidCAM, we're handling that closeout process automatically. So less items should be stuck in that temporary directory.
Yep.
And you'd have to have something pretty major, like a SolidWorks crash or something like that. Blue screen of death from Windows, one of those types of things, before things should start getting stuck in there.
Oh, come on, Windows never messes up. It's Microsoft. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, let me go back to my temporary. So we can see that I have this chapter 2 part file along with my folder. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to kill this through the task manager so it gets stuck in the task. Perfect. Okay. So now if I go to my temporary folder, I can see that both the PRT file as well as the chapter 2 folder is in there. So now I'll go ahead and fire everything back up here. All right. And we'll go ahead and open that up. So now I can see that we do have some other files in there. So like I said, I can go through and delete them all, or I can just leave them in there and just hit continue, and it will automatically pull from that CAM part directory as well. So a couple different options there for you for cleaning this up or keeping your CAM part cleaned up. Now, kind of along that same lines, let's say I put a tool path on here and something just completely hosed up my CAM tree or my SolidCAM assembly, or my SolidWorks assembly, I should say. Something happened. Now, you guys will see inside SolidCAM, there is no undo button. But what you can do is come up, instead of closing out of this project, and it would save everything, instead of going to the task manager and killing it that way so it doesn't save, you now have the option to right click, and now we can do close without saving. So this will close out of the CAM project, not saving anything that was done or added or whatever that you would not want it to have in there. So you do have that option right there also. So nice feature. And last on my list is if you are working on a network. Thankfully, Greg is working on a network where he is at. So, but if you guys are working on a network and Greg and I are working on the same network, and maybe he had the part open, and then now I want to start working on that part, but he still has it open, it will prompt you for in actual error now, saying another person. So in this particular case, it was Chris Glover already has the part open. So it will kind of give you a dialogue or a warning saying, do you want to continue, or do you want to go smack Chris and tell him to get off that part file so you can finish programming it as well. So we have run across in the past, not so much here, but actually when I worked at my previous job, there was 8 of us that were programming constantly. And if we were working on the same part file, the save and it automatically going to our temporary directory because another user had it opened at the same time. So now it will give you this warning letting you know that part is basically being in use. So that is everything. Let's see, it only took us, what, 8 weeks to get through everything of SolidCAM, what's new in 2020. Any questions on kind of the general stuff here? Okay.
Now, this is the last class in the what's new in 2020, correct?
That is correct.
I think maybe we open it up to anybody who has any questions about the series, maybe?
Yeah. And they do have,
Kevin, there is a quick question. Should all new CAM projects be saved as external?
Okay, that's a great point. We have talked about this in the past, but what we get that question often of what is the difference between internal or external, and what is the difference between external PRZ, compressed as well as uncompressed. So with internal, what it will do is it will keep the CAM project internal to the SolidWorks file. Now, one downfall of that is, let's say you are working on a SolidWorks file and it is not an assembly, SLD PRT, and at that point you would like to add a fixture in there. Well, what you'd have to do is basically kill everything that you've done and bring it into an assembly and bring in your components that way into your CAM project. As well as one other downfall to the internal is if anything happens to that SolidWorks part file, you not have only lost your SolidWorks part file, you've lost the CAM that goes along with that. So you've lost quite a bit of work right there. Where if you lost, let's say somewhere along the lines, this part file got corrupted inside of SolidWorks. We can always take this and because when we're running an external, it makes a copy of the original, and now we still have that copy, even though that it is called design model, we can go through and rename it back to its original part. So now with external, it automatically brings you into an assembly level. So you can have all those assembly features in there, but the difference between PRZ, or I should say compressed and not compressed, and let me just open up my settings here. Oops. So right here, we'll see internal versus external, and then you also have the create new parts in compress mode. And if I have this turned off, it would be non-compress mode. And I also have the option down here to convert non-compressed parts into compressed parts. So internal, external, kind of went through that. Now the difference between compressed and uncompressed is basically kind of file. In the easy sense of things right now, this is how it looks if we are running uncompressed. So we have the PRT file as well as the folder that goes along with that PRT file, where if we are running in a compressed, I go to users, public documents, SolidCAM. it would look like this. So we have our PRZ. So everything is zipped up into one easy access folder as a zip file versus having two files. One would be a PRT file as well as a a PRT file as well as a folder. Now, if you ever want to kind of go back and kind of reverse it, let's say maybe something happened with your PRZ file, what you guys can do is come in here, and this is just a zip file. Instead of labeling it as PRZ, we can come in here and type in zip. And now inside our zip folder, I can see that I have my PRT file as well as all the information that we're in there. So if there's something that got messed up, maybe you want to change out something. Like I said, this is worst case scenario. This is something that definitely let the SolidCAM tech support help you out with this part, but you can go through and modify those. And then once you're done with that, we can come back, save everything, put it back into a zip file, and then we can rename it back to PRZ. And it will convert it back to the SolidCAM PRZ file that way. So does that make sense, Costin?
Says yes.
Perfect. Yeah. And if you want, I think Greg would agree with me on this one, but if you want our opinion or professional opinion or what we know, I would definitely stay with external and PRZ. That's just my personal preference, and I see a lot more benefits working with PRZ versus internal, but completely up to you guys at that point.
Yeah, there's lots of pros and cons for each, but external seems to be the one that people tend to settle on. Now, what you may want to mention too, Kevin, with the compressed PRZ files is it's a lot easier to manage those files, especially when you're working in a vault or PDM network.
Yes, great point. So when you are working in that vault environment, you are going to want to run compressed, and usually there's only been a few vault programs out there that haven't accepted PRZ, but all you have to do is go in there and type in the PRZ extension, and it will automatically add it in there for the vault settings. So yeah, I completely forgot about the vault. So yeah, if you guys are working on a vault, checking in and out with a PRZ file is a whole lot easier than going through checking in a PRT file and then also having to check in the folder that goes along with it. So great point. Now, like what Greg was saying, is there any questions, not so much just on the general, but any questions on anything of the what's new inside SolidCAM 2020? Nothing? Okay.
Well, while people are coming up with their questions, why don't you go over, if they are a SolidCAM customer, where they can find the download links for SolidCAM 2020 if they don't have it already?
Yeah, so you guys go to our website, solidcam.com, come over to the subscription, go ahead and go to the login and downloads. Now you will need a subscription, so or a customer registration account here. I got one, but if you do not have one, all you have to do is click the customer registration, and that will take you over to your contact information. This is where it gets people tripped up a little bit, but if you are working if you have a SolidCAM in the US, your local reseller would be SolidCAM USA. And your dongle number or your product key is going to be what, if Tim Carl is your account manager and you guys are running a dongle number, he could get that information over to you, or if you shoot me an email, I can get that dongle information or your product key if you don't know it offhand. But back to the regular login, you can go ahead and log in. And this is going to be for the SolidCAM if you already have SolidWorks. This one is going to be if you're running a embedded version, which 99% of you will never be in this area right here. And then as well as for your Inventor cam. So if you guys are running Inventor. And then so for this particular one, we're running SolidWorks. So you can click on the top one, and we are currently at SolidCAM 2020 SP1 HF1. So if you guys are not on 2020 SP1 HF1, definitely come here and grab it, because it is a lot of great new stuff in there for everyone. All right, well, I see Ronnie thought up a ton of questions for us, so. But
he's letting you off easy tonight.
He's off playing with his electric dirt bike. All right.
Electric dirt bikes.
Yeah, he's making a pretty sweet electric dirt bike. But all right, so with that being said, we'll go ahead and wrap up for the night class tonight. And we'll be continuing on. I have to get it over to Jack for scheduling, but if we go to the webinars, click on KevCAM night class. Give me one day, and this will be all full again. And I think what we'll do is we'll continue on going through. I can't remember where we left off at. I'll have to go back through and look, but I think it was 3D Contour or HSS. And it's been about 4 years since we've kind of covered that. So there's a lot of new stuff in those, not so much the operation itself, but little tips and tricks along the way to kind of make things a little bit easier for you. So we'll get the ball rolling back with that again. So, but I will let everyone go. Thanks for attending the night class. Hopefully everybody is staying safe and healthy out there. And if you guys do have questions, definitely send those over to me via email. Everybody should have my email address, but if not, I better type it in there for you. Okay, so I just put my email address in there for everyone. It's kevin.rankel@solidcam.com. Send those questions or ideas that you would like to see in the night class, and we'll get those added in there as well. All right, thanks everyone. Have a great evening.